Hello, and welcome to this Hello ID product video. Today, we would like to go over the workflow management functionality. We will start with a PowerPoint overview and then demo the software. Let's get started. There are two main topics today, the different workflow types and how to configure them. There are three workflow types, any, all, or sequential. Let's begin with the any type. For example, you have an end user who wants to use Photoshop. Via the Hello ID portal, he can request access to the application. In this example with the any type, the manager or product owner or somebody from the IT department can approve the request. Only one of them needs to grant access for the user to begin using the Photoshop application. This is the first workflow type, any. Now for every workflow type, we have different options. So, also for the workflow types any, all, or sequential. The first option would be an email message to the approver. The approver can grant the request directly from the email without going to the Hello ID portal first. So the approver does not have to use the Hello ID portal and can approve or deny straight from the email. Another option is to turn on the reminder option. If the approver does not respond, then a reminder is sent. You can configure how quick and how often the reminder will be sent. There is also the auto-approve, auto-deny option. So if no approver responds within a time frame, the request can be automatically approved or denied. This way, the end user will not go on waiting for an approval forever. The last option is delegation. Here, an approver can delegate his approval responsibilities to someone else. For example, a manager can have their assistant approve requests if the delegation option is set up to give the assistant this authority. The next workflow type is all. This means that all of the approvers must grant access for the end user to use an application, not just one. We will use the same example as before. The end user requests access to Photoshop, and the request is sent to the manager, product owner, and the IT department. All three must approve the request for the end user to gain access to Photoshop. If one denies the request, then the request is denied and the user is not granted access. The last workflow is sequential. Now there is an order to the approvals. Same example, but now the manager needs to approve the request before a notification of the request is sent to the product owner. Then the product owner must approve the request before the notification of the request is sent to the IT department. If any one of the approvers denies the request, then the request is denied and the end user will not be able to access Photoshop. Let's take a look at how we configure and maintain the workflows. Both can be very time-consuming. Organizations are constantly changing, new managers, new departments, new people, and you do not want to constantly update all of these changes and workflows. This is true for the people responsible for doing the approvals as well as the relationship between the requester and the approvers. For example, we need to maintain this relationship between the end user and the manager. This can be hard-coded in Hello ID, but it is a lot better to retrieve the information from another system where it is already being maintained. Let's use an HR system. If the HR system is updated, then Hello ID automatically retrieves that update and updates the workflow. So if the manager is changed for a department in the HR system, Hello ID is automatically updated with zero configuration effort. This can be the same for the product owner. The information about who owns a product can be maintained in the Active Directory, and as long as this information has been properly managed, then Hello ID will again retrieve it automatically and integrate it into the workflow. You will not have to do any maintenance on the workflow. Set and forget. It will be the same for this approver set, the IT department. This is a group. It could be a Hello ID group, but it could also be linked to an Active Directory group. So this Active Directory group is mostly already available with all the IT system admins in that group, so you can then automatically connect this approval to this group. Now let's take a look at the advanced options, the filters. Here we can set a dynamic filter. So during the execution of a workflow, the filter is being executed, and now we can have the workflow automatically retrieve any information from the HR system. So retrieve all approvers that have sysadmin as their job title. The job title could also be set in the Active Directory, and again, the workflow would automatically retrieve this information. We could use this for any other system. For example, the help desk system. So the help desk system maintains who is part of the group sysadmins. The best part about these HelloID workflows is the zero maintenance aspect. We can simply set this functionality up once and then forget about it because everything is done automatically in all systems after the initial configuration. Time to demo the software. Let's look at the end result of a workflow first. I am user Tajir Sinan. Let's look at the execution of a sequential workflow. We are going to request access to Photoshop. We open the application and then click on Request. Now we can request access to Photoshop for any amount of time. Let's ask for 10 days of access. So with the sequential workflow, this request is first being sent to the manager of Tajir Sinan. We fill the request and now we can see a box above the Photoshop application that says Pending Approval. Now let's log in as the manager of Tajir. This is Kuz. We go over to his email and we see the product request email that has been sent automatically. Here, Kuz can simply deny or approve the request with the buttons right in the email. If we go up to reminders, we can also approve or deny straight from the reminder as well. Kuz can also delegate the approval. His preferences are currently set to allow Stella to approve the request as well, since she is a delegated approver. We go back to the inbox and have Kuz approve the request. Let's take a look at this in the email account too. This is what the email version looks like, and again we see the same information and ability to approve or deny straight from a single location. Let's click on Approve, and we see that the approval was done, and now we can head back to the portal. Here is the confirmation of the approval for Tajir Sinan by Kuz Bartman for the use of Photoshop. Kuz can also add a comment. Let's put, "This is okay for 5 days." And now adjust the length of time that Tajir can use Photoshop. Click Save, and now the request moves on to the next person in the sequential chain, who is Walter Damon. Now we are logged in as Walter. We see the same product request in the inbox with the same approve or deny options. We see the requester as well as the one approval for 5 days by the manager Kuz. Now Walter is the final person in the approval cycle, so we click on Approve and add a note. And now Tajir has instant access to Photoshop for the 5 days we were approved to use it. The request will now change from pending to completed. If we click Completed, we can see the whole trail of events of the workflow on a single page from the request through all of the approvals. Let's take a look at how this was configured. We are now logged in as admin in the HelloID portal. We go to Self-Service and down to Products. Now we go to the Photoshop product and click on Edit. Here we can see which workflow is being used. If we click on Approval Workflow, we can see the many different options available for configuration. If you want to configure your workflow, simply go back to the menu on the left and click on Approval Workflows. Here is the one being used in Photoshop. Now, if we click on General, we can see the configuration options or how the workflow should behave. Here are the 3 workflow types we showed you in the presentation. Any user must approve, all users must approve, or all users must approve in sequence. If we switch this to sequential, then the order of specified approvers must be followed to get access. We can change the sequence simply by using drag and drop. Here is the reminder option. And down here, you can enforce this option with an auto approve or deny if one of the approvers does not respond. Here you can see the dynamic filter we explained earlier. If we click on the filter, we can easily change the scope of the filter. Now, we have changed it so that only people in the ICT department can give approval. Now, if we hover on the group, we can see that the filter has changed and that it has been dynamically resolved. And that after the manager and resource owner have given their approval, one of the people below will need to give their approval for the end user to gain access to the product. It is easy to change the approvers. We can simply delete this manager and then add a manager group in at the end of the sequence. We just start typing and the pop-up will list the options we can choose from. We can then switch this to be the first step instead of the last. Thank you for watching and have a very nice day.